Hello, Fawlty here, and I don't know about you, but when you've spent hundreds of hours on a game like I just had with Neo, the very thought of throwing yourself into another is about as appealing as being stuck in a lift with someone who's just farted. So what better time to play a game that's quick, easy and relatively straightforward to get into, and if that's what you're looking for too, then you can do a lot worse than Akane on the PS4. Akane is a hack and slash game set in an arena, with the opening scene conveyed beautifully in the form of darkness, where you get to hear the crashing of a motorbike and lots of gunfire. This takes place in the year 2119, where you, Akane, have decided to make your final stand against the Mafia with the words, "Tonight I'll die here, and I'll take all you sons of bitches with me." With that, your objective is straightforward. Kill as many enemies as you can and survive as long as possible. Before you take everyone on, it's a good idea to play the tutorial. This is set in the year 2096, where you are an apprentice to the master swordsman Ishikawa. Here you will learn how to use all of Akane's skills, your katana and gun, dashing, blocking and building combos, all of which ultimately leads you to learning the Dragon Slash and Dragon Slayer technique. There is a little more to the plot which takes place in 2098. I'm not going to give that away, so if you want to know what it is, it's called Final Scene, and it can be viewed once you have the platinum. Now you've learned the basics, it's time to jump into the action, and oh my god, this game is addictive. Enemies die with only one hit, but at the same time so do you, and because of that you can never take your eye off the screen. It's fast and frenetic, reminding me in a weird way that it's not unlike the end of a Benny Hill sketch. The majority of enemies you face are Yakuza who wield katanas, but there are other enemies that spawn in after a period of time has elapsed. Tanks which move slowly and take 5 hits before they die. Shooters who have a gun that, when it glows purple, fires 3 bullets, which you either need to move around the screen to avoid or hold triangle to block. The downside to blocking is it doesn't last long, so you have to get the timing right. There is also the Cyber Ninja. When he attacks, he aims straight for your current location with a blade strike, and you need to quickly move out of the way. Once he stops, he's vulnerable, but before then, your blade will bounce off him, and if you try to shoot him, your bullets will ricochet and potentially kill you. The boss, Katsuro, appears after 100 enemies are killed, and for every 100 after. Although he's not too difficult and only takes 1 strategic hit, you need to be wary as his abilities increase each time you face him. On 100 and 200 his attack will be the same as the Yakuza. On 300 and 400 he will adopt the shooter's gun, firing 3 bullets at you. On 500 and his final form at 600 kills, he will also incorporate the Cyber Ninja skill, homing in on your position. At 700, I have no idea. The furthest I got was 692 kills. Each time you defeat Katsuro and you begin the next wave of 100 enemies, they move faster, with tanks, shooters and cyber ninjas spawning in faster too. With the action moving at the pace it does, the controls need to be up to the task, and this is where the game really shines, with combat that is fluid and intuitive, alternating between your katana and gun. For every attack you make with your katana, you lose stamina, and that stamina only regenerates when you take a break between attacks. Using your gun uses up limited ammo, which regenerates when you kill enemies with your katana. This leads to a nice balancing act, maintaining stamina and ammo, and once you get the hang of it, you can begin chaining bigger and bigger combos. Add into that the dash ability to get you out of tight situations, or to move quickly between enemies to maintain your combo, a katana special attack with a 5-second cooldown that can take down multiple enemies at once, with the downside being it can leave you vulnerable immediately afterwards, and finally your dragon attack that can be unleashed once you've built your adrenaline bar high enough, with the bar building faster the bigger the combo you have. It all works well together. The one thing I would say is that the screen shakes slightly when you perform a kill, and I found this distracting. Fortunately there is a setting in the menu to turn it off, so the option is there if it bothers you too. On top of the slick gameplay you are set challenges that once complete unlock gear that can be used to enhance your playstyle. For example, I preferred switching out my Patron pistol to an Inquisitor shotgun as it didn't require the same level of precision. The drawback being you have less ammo and therefore you have to be more strategic as to when to use it. All of the gear swaps you make for your loadout are only enhancements, none thankfully are overpowered. When you die, and you will die a lot, you can instantly restart, and if ever there was a game that made you say to yourself, Okay, just one more go. This is it. However, despite the core gameplay being as enjoyable as it is, you soon realise that you've seen everything the game has to offer. It all takes place in the same arena, with the same enemies, and once you've killed 100 enemies and the boss, you repeat that cycle until you die, and that can only keep you entertained for so long. Thankfully, the trophies add some longevity with an extremely well implemented list, and all of them except the tutorial trophy is achieved by completing challenges to unlock gear. To go into a little more detail, there are 5 types of gear you can equip: katanas, guns, gadgets, shoes and cigarettes, with cigarettes not offering enhancements but instead a visual change to the trail of your dash ability. Whenever you pause or before you start each game, you will see a list of all 5 gear types and a challenge to complete for each in order to unlock the next item. The challenges can range from kills to combos to killing the boss in his final form. All of these challenges have to be completed in sequence. In other words, you can't complete a challenge that would, for example, unlock the 9th gadget if you haven't yet met the requirements for the 2nd. This makes sense, as otherwise it could potentially be possible to complete every challenge in 1 or 2 playthroughs. The tasks do get harder as they go along, with the most difficult for me getting to the boss in his final form, as I find it hard to maintain the level of concentration needed to get to 600 kills. Once you've completed all challenges, you have the platinum. The game does pose a decent challenge, with estimates for the platinum ranging from between 4 and 20 hours. My home screen says 20, but after removing idle time it was probably closer to 18. Akane is digital only and can be bought on the PS4 for £3.29. It frequently goes on sale for £1.31. And if you have an overpriced PS Plus subscription, you can get it for as little as 98 pence. Overall, it's easy to recommend Akane. It's addictive, fast-paced and well-balanced, with a lack of content being reflected in the low price. The challenges add purpose and longevity to this short title, but once they were complete, all that's left are high scores to try and beat. Unfortunately, as there's no online leaderboards, there's not much motivation to do so. My final score for Akane is a 7 out of 10. Thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed the video. Did you enjoy Akane? Let me know in the comments below.